Good afternoon, evening. Welcome to Season AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. We're going to be looking at this man, Seligman, as said by Mustafa Henry to be the father of all of this narrative about um, our pharaohs being sort of having Caucasian um, foundations and things and all of that. Flawed theory. Um, I need you to listen to a particular word here that I want you to really take on. This is what I want you to listen to. Listen to the words here. It says here, I'm going to read it. The man is remembered for his detailed ethnographical work, Races of Africa, 1930, which recognizes the four main distinct races of the African continent: Bushmanoids, Bushmen, Pygmies, Negroids, and Caucasoids, Hamites. Hmm. And guess which one he is? And the answer is Caucasoid, Hamites. We know that the Caucasus Mountains, they come not from Africa. They are in Europe. So wrong area completely. So on the basis of that, that is wrong. Totally. So they cannot be coming from Africa. They're coming from the Caucasus Mountains. And it's in the words. If you look at the words, it's there. Look at the words there. And it says Hamites. Anyway, the Hottentot Seligman maintains a mixture of Bushmanoids, Negroid, and Hamitic. So we are one. Africa is one. There are shades of Africans: light skin, black skin, dark skinned. But we are one. Melanin. Okay? So let's carry on. As a staunch proponent of Hamitic theory. So they have to put themselves in the middle of Africa. They have to, for them to have any reverence. They are absolutely frantic to make sure that they slot themselves in. This is what this is. Because if you have anything that's going to be to do with Africa, Caucasoids, Caucasus Mountain. I mean, let us go and look at Caucasus Mountain just to make sure. Let me just go and do this for you so you can see Caucasus Mountain. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see where that is before we say anything else. You see, Caucasus Mountains. You see, it's in Asia and Europe. Let us see where it is exactly. You see, it is in Asia and Europe. Let me see if I can go back. I'm going back one more time. Let me show you Caucasus Mountain. Caucasus Mountain on the map. Okay, so you see that now. That is the Caucasus Mountain there. You see, that's it there. Okay, so again, I'm just trying to give you as much information as possible. You know, it is nowhere near where this man is trying to claim. You know, Great Caucasus. Can you see that? Georgia, Russia. It is nothing to do with Africa. So just on the name alone, just simply on the name alone, Caucasoid Hamites. You see that? You know, I mean, exactly now it is proven. You know, it's a joke. They've disproven it. But I'm trying to say many people and many of the scientists believe that. And the word belief has a lot of connotations. Now, so let's carry on. It says, as a staunch proponent of Hamitic theory in his work, Seligman asserts Hamitic Caucasoid North and Northeast Africans were responsible for introducing non-Semitic Afro-Asiatic languages, Berber, Kushite, and Egyptian into Africa, as well as civilization, technology, and all significant cultural development. So everything to do with technology, cultural development, comes from the Hamites. Africans, you see why we have to tell our own story? That's why I'm so proud. I always am proud of the book by Sheikh Anta Diop. I always bring that up. Read that. Civilization or Barbarism. I all encourage you, if you haven't got a copy, read it. It's a book that's full of knowledge, and it tells our history. And it's by this great man. I'll see if I can show you a picture of him, Sheikh Anta Diop. He's our ancestor now, but he's a wonderful, wonderful man who has left us with gift of our own narrative by ourselves, not by somebody else. And I'm ever so grateful. This book. I highly recommend this book, Civilization of Barbarism. Read it, and it just rips apart any of this false theory by C.G. Seligman. It rips it apart. It's and they say it themselves as it's disproven. So let's carry on anyway. Now it says here, in this book, Seligman states his belief. So it's interesting. This man's belief is now the basis of scientific theory by others who always claim that for some reason, oh, Europe, there is an established fact that pharaohs, the Egyptians came from Europe and all of that stuff, because of this false narrative. I just showed you Caucasus Mountain. It's not in Africa. It's in Europe. It's between Russia and Georgia. Can you see how far that is from Africa? Can you see that? Anyway, now let us read one of his. I'm not going to go too far, but that's his picture. By the way, I put his picture there so you will know the connection. C.G. Seligman is his name. And you've seen it here. C.G. Seligman. Let me see. Seligman is the name. C.G. I'll find out what that means. Charles something Seligman. Let's see if I can find that full name for you. Yeah. So Charles Gabriel Seligman. You can see there. Charles Gabriel Seligman. See that? Okay, good. Now, let's go back here. So I'm going to read this line. I'm not going to take too long on this because I don't want to spend too much time. There's much more work for us to do as Africans. We just need to start telling our own stories in the proper way, in the proper context. And nobody should be telling us our stories and writing us in the negative light on our continent. We cannot accept that. No, I don't recall any African going to talk about the Caucasoid Mountains. Caucasus, mountain, and trying to sort of lay any claim. Why would we? Why should we? These are things that we are talking about. But anyway, let's go on. So it says here, apart from the relative Semitic influence, the civilizations of Africa are the civilizations of Hamites. They are trying to be in two places at the same time. Caucasoid Mountain, which is between Georgia and Russia, as you can see on the map here. Let me see if I can find that for you again. Yeah, you see that? So it's Georgia, Russia. Caucasoid Mountain is in between those areas, you see? Nothing to do with Africa. Far away. You have to go all the way to Turkey, into, Greece and all of this stuff before you even get anywhere near Africa. I mean that theory. I mean, we need to shoot this down. Sorry, not that. We need to just make sure that this is ripped apart. It has to be, this theory must be disproven by us. Clearly, you can see there's false narratives going on here. Now, it says here, it says, the civilization of Africa are civilization of Hamites. Its history is the record of these people and their interaction with two other African stocks, the Negro and the Bushmen. So you have a name for us, Bushmen and Negro. We have to disprove all of this. We are Alkebulan, okay? And there's no such thing as Bushmen. If you want to have that term for the Caucasoids, go ahead. You have that, but you do not label us. You do not have the right. Africans have been on this planet, or Alkebulan's have been on the planet long before. In fact, the whole planet was populated by Alkebulan's. That's a plain fact right there. So let's go ahead. So they says whether this influence was exerted by highly civilized Egyptians or by such wide pastoralists as represented by the present-day Beja and Somali, the incoming Hamites were pastoral Caucasians. So you agree that they are incoming. If they are incoming, they are not natural to that land. So you agree. The fact that you said the incoming Hamites, they're not Hamites, Caucasians. That's what you are. You said it. So the key is in the words. Let us make sure we dispel all of this nonsense. We just have to dispel it. And that's why we need our own platforms. Africans, I say it again, it's time that we all as Africans come together, and particularly in the media front, and have a media base that will not be infiltrated or broken or be interfered with by those who are trying to tell us our own story and putting us and depicting us in a negative light on our own soil. Nobody's going to the Caucasus Mountain and depicting the people from the Caucasus in a negative light. Nobody's having nothing to do with that. But they're coming over and then putting us in a negative light on our own soil and trying to grab our own story to make it theirs. That's not right. We should reject it. We have to tell our own story. So there's a book. I'm gonna show you the book anyway. Whether this influence was exerted by highly civilized Egyptians or by pastoralists, as are represented by present-day Beja and Somali, the incoming Hamites were pastoral Caucasians, arriving wave after wave, better armed and as well as quicker-witted than the dark agricultural Negroes. I'm sorry, the first place you ever did anything with metals is in Africa, whether you like it or not. It is. There's proof. In Yoruba land, we were, God of iron. There is something called God of iron. So we've known about God of iron. We know the uses of it long before you even came on the scene. Long before. Let's get that very clear. Let me just show you the book that he wrote, and I'm not going to read through it. It says Races of Africa. You don't get to write about African races. Focus on your Caucasian races. Focus on that. We will determine our own, what we call ourselves, not you. And that's why this is the book he wrote. This is the book that Charles Gabriel Seligman wrote. And this is the basis of many of these flawed scientific, so-called scientific description of Kemet, or the word I like to use, Egypt. I prefer Kemet. Kemet is an African name. Chemistry comes from Kemet. To blacken is chemistry. Anyway, let me put it there. Let me see if I can find that for you. So let me see if I can find it. I want to get that for you live. Just want to make sure I got it. I have something somewhere. Yeah. See, they even put it as they say Arabic now. Oh. See now, let me see. Arabic alchemia. No, Kemet. There is a place called Kemet. You see, See, they don't want to admit it. You see, from the ancient Egypt name, Egypt of Egypt, Kem. You see that? Kem, meaning blackness. Reach that soil of the Nile River to blacken. So it's nothing to do with trying to put this. You see, everything they're trying to do, you cannot name us. We know who we are. Kemet. Let me put Kemet up so that you know what I'm saying. Kemet. Yeah, let's see what Kemet brings up. No. Yeah, see that? Egyptians called their country Kemet, literally black land. Kemet meant back in the ancient Egyptian. So before they came up with the word Egypt, we are the Egyptians, the people there called themselves Kemet. The fact that they were using European words is to try to make us believe that they named us. No, we have our name, Kemet. You see? And they try and talk about all of this stuff, the name of the soil, which is annually occurring Nile inundation. Nothing to do with that. Kemet means to blacken. I mean, Kemet. Black land, fine. Chemistry means to blacken. Anyway, I'm just putting that as a side thing, as a side note for us to be aware of. Let me go back into this again. So where is this book? I want to read this book. I'm not going to go into much depth with the book. So like I said, that's his book there, and the basis of many races of Africa. So someone who was an European now gets to come and write our own history. That's this picture that you see on the side there, and I put in that there so we understand that anything you hear regarding them saying Egyptians, before first they are trying to put the name Egyptian forever. We are Kemet. The people of that land are known as Kemet. Kemet. That is the name. And that is what taking back control. We have to take control of our narrative on our continent. No ifs, no buts, no quota given. Anyway, so I'm going to just scroll a bit more to show you one of his. He talked about noses on page at some page, and I started reading. I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to give you this. This the story races of Africa. Structure among the people obvious, but there are other measurements of 30 or 40 individuals come remarkably true. Moreover, a tall race will not, apart from dwarfs, contain very short individuals, nor pygmy race, tall men. I mean, this is just conjecture. There's no basis whatsoever. Then it talks about the skull, and if you want to know more about the skull, how Professor Antajio breaks down the skull theory of this false narrative. Let me read you something if I can find it in the civilization of barbarism, and he really conclusively destroys this thinking that they try and bring forward, and that's what we need to do. We must challenge any of this spurious false narrative that they bring forward. We must conclusively debunk it, because it's not based on any evidence of fact whatsoever. None. Let me see. I think I have it on here. Yeah, so now, there we go. So now it talks about here, there are three skulls, Combe Capel left, Cro-Magnon center, Grimaldi right, seen from same angle, compare the progenitorism of the two negroids, Combe Capel and Grimaldi, the other, Cro-Magnon in the middle, by the author. Some specialists think that Combe Capel man might be a fake, sold to German museum by supplier. Exactly, you see? Because if there's nothing based in the reality, they engineer one by putting fakes in. Exactly. This is in Sheikh Anta Diop. So the skull theory, you can see he mentions the skull here. That's why I mentioned that. He says here, what does it talk about skull here? It says here, the cephalic index living cranial index skull, which is the ratio for percentage of breadth and length and all of this is nonsense, utter nonsense. Let me see, have a look now. So I'm trying to, I read the place. It says here, the Combe Capel skull, first described by the Clutch, who saw it as a new species, Homo aurignacensis, has since been an object of study of numerous anthropologists. Moshi found Australoid characteristics in the species because of the pronounced superciliary arches. According to Guifrida Ruggeri, this skull is more dolichocephalic, more elevated, and more prognathous, more Platyrrhinian, and thus displays Ethiopic affinities. He was inclined to call it Homo pre-Ethiopicus. Mendes was of the same opinion. We therefore are in the presence of Negro specimen, which moreover was found at the bottom of the Aurignasian site, but under conditions that leave too much to be desired. The fact is that the fossil was discovered at a time when scientific prehistoric archaeology was in limbo, 1909. It was a purveyor of that Berlin museum to which he sold it. The specimen inventors baptized it Homo aurignacensis, and could not be older than the industry that it belonged to. The estimates that held it to be 50,000 years old were not based on any scientific data. You see why we need to do our own research? Get this book. Get this book. I'm going to stop there before I say something I don't want to say. We need to tell our own story. We need to tell our own story. Yeah, see, exactly. This is the measurements that I talked about. The same things. So all of these theories, you see, and this is exactly what every African, you should get this book, Civilization of Barbarism by Sheikh Anta Diop. And I might read sections of that because that jumped out at me. And this is what he's trying to do here. I'm struggling to I'm struggling to what's the word? To not be, I mean, they talk about the nose may be long or short, broad, narrow, the relation of length, and it's so important. It seems well to give the terms and figures commonly employed, and since there is no utter nonsense, the people you are describing on the African continent are all Africans. They are all Alkebulan people, Alkebulan people. Okay? That's it. Any of these theories of you trying to weave in the so-called Hamites, I mean, just face your Caucasus mountain in your theories. So we need to debunk this as Africans. Anyway, that's why I wanted to bring to your attention. So the theory by this man, and that book is there. And I mean, I think he even says, I'll say that. They said, what did he say here? Let me see what it says here. You see, it's a name formerly used by North and North Horn of Africa in the context of now outdated model of dividing humanity into races. This was developed originally by Europeans and in support of colonialism and slavery. That says it all. You see, everything that I'm uncovering facts to you here that is absolutely indisputable. You see that? The words are there. So the Hamites, it supports slavery. It supports colonialism and slavery. So the context in which this man was writing his so-called thesis or scientific nonsense is based on this preconceived idea, colonialism and slavery, to an idea that puts Europe and everything else at the top and everybody else at the bottom. Flawed basis, of course. I'm not going to read more. You can do your research. Charles Gabriel Seligman. The basis, all of this is Egyptologists, all of them and all their theories, the root of it comes down to this man, Seligman. And we must continue to make sure we debunk it as Africans. We need to be referring to stories like Sheikh Anta Diop to counter it. This is evidence, indisputable evidence. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stop there. You can do more research. I might do more digging and come up with more areas where I'm going to expose the lies told by the likes of Charles Gabriel Seligman and the Egyptologist idea. And of course, when I say Egyptologists, you know straight away they're not prepared to mention the fact that it's Kem. The land they're talking about is Kemet in Africa. They have to talk Egypt because Egypt is what the Greeks call it. Then it gives them the room to now spread this false narrative. The land is in Alkebulan and it's known as Kemet. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Let's have your thoughts and views. The man in that picture, I hope we've been able to disprove many of these falsehoods. And again, I ask you, this book here, Sheikh Anta Diop, get it. It's an eye-opener. And we have to tell our own stories. And I'm so grateful that he wrote this. This is a gift that he's given this is a gift for the whole entire Alkebulan race. We need to let our children know these stories. We have to start telling our own stories. And, because the basis on what we've been taught in schools, many of us thought that Egypt was in Europe. That's how bad this is. See the level, how deep the work we need to do is to weaken our minds. Anyway, what are your thoughts? You, of course, watching Zinewa, the platform where we speak truth to power. I'd love to hear your views on this. Please share. We've been able to expose the lie of the theory of the Seligman, Charles Gabriel Seligman, and his belief that relatively late Semitic influence, the civilization of Africa and civilization of Hamites, its history is the record of these people, of the interaction with with two other African stocks. How can you tell the people who Africa is the birthplace of civilization, and then you're now reversing it and saying that the civilization came the other way from the Caucasoid Mountains? Are you do know that the oldest living human being, Dinkesh, in Ethiopia, 2 million years old, it just shoots down this false narrative. It shoots it down. Yes. Let me see if I can find that word for you. I don't like to just talk, Dinkesh. Let's type it out. Yeah? And I want you to back that up. You can do and check yourself, Dinkesh. Yeah? Ethiopia. Yeah? So everything is saying, it just rips it apart. It just really doesn't hold any water in any way, shape, or form. And that's what we need to do. Okay. There you go. So you have it. You see, I'm showing you. I need you to know. So any of this stuff, when they are telling us stories and falsehoods, these are facts. This is the story. This is Dinklage Lucy skeleton. You see? Of course, it's been taken to America, but it is from Ethiopia, and I hope they are taking it back. On November 24, 1904, American archaeologists Donald Jonathan and Tom Gray were searching for fossils in the mountain of northern European Afar region, known as Awash Valley. After a morning search in the area of no avail, they headed back to the vehicle. Rather than walking back, same way they took a route they searched before. Jonathan spotted what appeared to be a bone of forearm within a short range. They unearthed more bones. They returned to the camp and shared their findings with the members of the expedition and returned with more team members to continue the search. This evening, they celebrated their find. The Beatles song "Lucy in the Blue Sky Diamonds" played repeatedly in the background. You see what they're trying to do. So they're trying to call it Lucy. This is something called Dinkesh. The skater remains later renamed Dinkesh, a word in Ethiopia. Exactly. See, they try to. Everything is to just try and make it, but it's Dinkesh. Dinknesh. I said it wrong. Dinknesh is the name. Dinknesh. You can see it on the word here. You see. So it says here, John and Gray and the team returned to site each day for the next 3 weeks, eventually finding a catalog several hundreds of bone fragments, totaling about 40% of Homite skeleton. The permission of from the European government, the bones were taken to Cleveland Museum Natural History in Ohio for study. There it became apparent that the size of the formation of the bones belonged to a single individual from the species of Australopithecus afarensis, who lived in East Africa between 2.9 and 3.9 million years ago. I want you to see that. As an African, this is our host. We are telling the story of the entire world. Okay? Let me just break that up. We are telling the story of the entire world from Africa. You see? This made our skeleton the oldest intact example ever found from human beings, branch of hominid species. So it shoots down any idea Charles Gabriel Seligman will have of all of this Hamite theory, nonsense theory. Absolute nonsense. We are giving you facts here. Do check it yourself, research it. Ladies and gentlemen, the case is the point is well made here. We need to tell our own stories, and this is what we need to begin to do. Thank you so much for watching. You've been listening to Seasonewa, the platform where we speak to the power. Let me urge you to please subscribe to us on YouTube, hit the notification button, give us thumbs up, help us with more people. We need to expose this flawed thinking, these lies, and we have to tell our own stories. It is obvious that those who came and took over have tried to replace and whitewash African story to become an European story. We mustn't allow that to happen. There's nothing wrong in Europe talking about their own host story and talking about the Caucasoids and in the Caucasus Mountain. No, I have no problem. But when you come to Africa and you're now trying to take our story and make it your own and make us to be irrelevant, the birthplace of civilization is in Africa. You just saw the evidence here. 3.9 million years old. Anyway, you've been listening to Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. What are your thoughts on this? Let us have your views. Please do share this broadcast. You've been listening to Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Please help us share the broadcast. Subscribe to Citizen AY, hit the notification button, give us thumbs up, and also on TikTok, Facebook, Xspace, Instagram, all of those platforms. We really appreciate your support. Thank you very much, and bye for now. Bye for now.